Welcome to Make Your Remarkable, the podcast where banking meets inspiration. Here, we share stories that spark new ideas, open doors, and remind us what's possible when passion meets purpose. Each week, you'll hear from remarkable guests, leaders, dreamers, doers, and difference makers who bring fresh perspectives on leadership and culture, community connections, and the path to financial success. Wherever you are on your journey, their stories will encourage you to think bigger, live bolder, and make your own remarkable. So let's dive in. It's time to make your remarkable.
Hey, I'm your host, Charlie, and today we're talking stewardship, both in work we do and the communities we help shape. Today, we're joined by Blake Underwood, founder and broker of Athens Real Estate Group. Blake moved to Athens to attend the University of Georgia and decided to make it home. Since then, he spent nearly 2 decades building a career in real estate, from investing in development to leading a full-service brokerage and property management company. His work has played a role in shaping housing development and growth across our community here in Athens, and he brings a really thoughtful perspective on what it means to invest not just in property, but in people and place. So I don't actually know this, but how did you get into real estate, and what made you want to build everything in Athens? And by the way, thank you for being here, man. It's awesome, Blake, that you're here. And so, yeah, tell us, how did you get started in real estate? What made you want to build in Athens?
Well, I came to Athens for the University of Georgia, went to school here, and ended up deciding not to leave and going down the career path, and majored in finance. I always had an interest in real estate and knew I wanted to do something in real estate, whether it was just personal investing or whatnot. But that's really how it started, was that interest going out as kind of a side gig, flipping homes. Started in 2006 with the very first flip.
Wow.
And
interesting time in real estate, 2006, 2007.
Yeah, it was still pretty good then, and then all of a sudden 2008 came along.
Right.
And when 2008 come along, it became obvious that I was not going to continue to flip houses, so it kind of shifted into buying student rental properties, kind of more of the buy and hold mindset versus flipping properties. And then obviously just was self-managing my own properties and started building a little bit of building a portfolio actually in 2008, believe it or not. And then in 2010, decided to start the brokerage company, Athens Real Estate Group.
That's right. New building off of South Millage. It's beautiful.
Just moved in about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, it's a beautiful building. Yeah. So you started your career probably at one of the most worst economic times in the country. 2008 is when you cut your chops. I mean, what was that like?
Well, at the time, I didn't know any better, because I was just getting started, right? So, the fortunate thing was I had not, acquired so much prior to 2008 that then its value plummeted off the table, right? And I was able to, continue that buying through, past 2008, and end up buying some pretty good deals when you look back at hindsight's 2020, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I feel the same way with agents that have got in post-COVID, 2023, 2024. It's not been easy, right? COVID, I feel like clients with low interest rates, and the agents that have started in this tough environment, it's kind of it's a totally different economic realm now, but still it's hard. And so post-COVID agents don't know any better, that, hey, you've got to make calls and have a lot of conversations. Are you seeing that too with?
Oh, absolutely. It went from, you can do it blindfolded, kind of right after COVID, or, after the shock of COVID. We were still in the middle of COVID, but, property skyrocketed. Home buyers were coming out of the woodworks, near zero interest rates, right? So everybody wanted to buy. Well, that was pretty easy. I saw the flip side of that coming out of 2008, where it was, you could hardly give property away, and went through that cycle. So I've seen both sides of it, and the what we've seen the last couple of years was nothing compared to what it was post 2008 for for a real estate agent specifically, and how hard it was.
Yeah. Is there a moment like early on in your career where you thought, I have no idea what I'm doing? And how did that turn out? Was there any like a moment where you're like, holy smokes, what
Absolutely.
am I doing? Yeah.
It was probably the very first flip back in 2006, right?
Okay.
Because, obviously I bought my first house in 2004 to, as personal residence, and right after college. And then in 2006, a buddy of mine, David Prince, shout out to David, we bought this flip together, and it was a complete gut job. It needed windows, roof, everything. And he and I decided we were going to do it together, right? Meaning all the work together. He had the construction knowledge and the background, and I had the backbone, to help and that kind of thing. So learned a lot with that one, but really learned what not to do with that one. And, that was definitely, you really don't know what you're doing, but it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Sounds like you put in equity, not only financially, but sweat equity. Were you guys working on the property? You shout out David.
We pretty much did everything from a new roof, installing windows, installing flooring. We hired out very, very, very little of that project. And we were doing it, both of us working full-time jobs, just doing it at night and weekends. And we would have probably been better off to just go get a part-time job.
Yeah, man.
So we got an education.
That's right, man. Roofing education, HVAC education. You've been a part of a lot of like growth in the community, right? You've been a part of a lot of cool projects. Like, what impact are you most proud of? If you look back in the last like almost 20 years now that you've been doing this, what is there one that's like, man, I'm really proud of that one?
Well, not necessarily the developments that I've done that I'm most proud of. What I'm probably most proud of is just helping others accomplish what they want to accomplish in real estate. Meaning, I've had so many clients that have never owned an investment property or rental property, any type of investment property, and they come in and met them, helped them buy their first one, and then help them their second and third and fourth and so on. And so many of these people have, really acquired some pretty impressive portfolios over the years, and helping them secure their financial freedom and their retirement goals. That's probably what's most rewarding to me.
Yeah. Helping people and seeing their growth over time and you assisting them. I want to revisit like what you learned back with our friend David back in like your first flip. What would be your advice for someone who is like looking to fix and flip and hold, right? You see a property, needs a lot of work. And you're representing them, let's say, and you have that experience from 2004, 2006. What would the advice be like if they were trying to make this work? Or some of those, I call them landmines, right? You're not expecting to walk into something and you're like, so you're not expecting to get on the roof and do the shingles and repair the windows. But yeah, walk someone through that. Like where do they need to be thinking about?
Well, you got to do your best to envision worst case scenario, right? Plan for those things that you don't know you're going to find, because it's going to happen on almost every job. It's just a matter of how big it is. And then the other thing is time is money, and that's one thing that's become very inevitable to me over the years is, for us, we said, we're going to do this all by ourselves. We're going to do all the work on the weekends, whatnot. Well, we would have been much better off to hire that out and get it done in a 3-month flip versus, I don't remember how long it took us, probably 9 months to do this flip. So, things like that, in that kind of world is volume is going to get you to where you want to be, not necessarily squeezing every dollar out of every particular property.
That's a good point. So it's like almost like the opportunity cost of like, we could save money by doing these floors ourselves. But if we pay a little more and get professionals in here, we could do it quicker and might pay more, but time is money. And so It's a good thought there. So getting the professionals, so to speak, to get in there and do the work correctly and put them on the job rather than the sweat equity. And there's a fine balance, right?
There's a fine balance,
yeah,
right?
you got to find that.
It's all about your goals. I mean, if you just want to do one and that's all you're going to do for that year or whatever, maybe you do do a lot of the work yourself. But at the end of the day, it's still costing you money if you're going to renovate this property and get it on the market to rent. You want to get somebody paying rent really fast, not holding an extra 6 months working on it, because 6 months of rent will cover a lot of professionals doing work.
That's right, man. That's right. Time is money. If someone gave you one day to sell Athens to like a newcomer, like if someone was considering moving here or Greenville or Asheville, Savannah, and they called you and wanted to tour Athens, they're like, we're in the front running. What do you take? Like, where are you taking them to sell Athens, and what are you talking to them about?
Well, that's very interesting. I've done that more than one time. This very thing. We're going to get in my truck and I'm going to drive them around Athens and really kind of the edges of the university and show them how the community and the university blend together, kind of going all the way around in the different communities. And, we're going to hit downtown for sure. And we're going to hit, the east side, the west side, the south side of going down South Millage, and just show them how, it really beautifully blends together. It's not just a line in the sand. All of a sudden I'm on university property and all of a sudden I'm over here in a residential neighborhood. It really kind of, coincides together. It's a, vibrant community with, all ages, tons of things to do. And when I've done that, so many people have been like, oh, wow, this is really a beautiful community and a great place. And then we're probably going to, go downtown and show them a little bit of nightlife when it gets that time of day. Maybe hit Chuck's Fish.
Okay. So if, let's say they're hungry and it's lunchtime, where are you taking them?
Probably maybe somewhere in 5 Points.
Okay. Go Royal Peasant?
Yep, Royal Peasant, a fully loaded, somewhere you can see that, that it's an active community with a lot of things to do.
Yeah, and there's 5 Points is a melting pot because you have seafood. We've got Royal Peasant there, fully loaded pizza, Mexican, right? The taco place.
That's right.
Burgers. So yeah, you bring them to 5 Points, give them food, take them downtown. That's great. That's a great Athens day right there. So we're talking about stewardship today. And at the bank, we define it as the privilege and responsibility to wisely shepherd our resources. And as a business owner, like you have a lot of stewardship to do because it's your business. Entrepreneurship is scary. It's not easy. Building a business from the ground up is scary. So what does the word mean to you, stewardship? When like you resonate on that culturally or in your organization, like what comes to mind?
Well, for me, yes, I have to steward my resources at Athens Real Estate Group. But, it's also stewarding other people's resources with the property management company. I mean, we've really grown for many of our clients. We've grown into an asset management company, where they're looking at us to, you tell me when you're in the market day to day, knowing the ins and outs of Athens real estate. You tell me when I need to be buying and selling in certain areas and things like that. So it's really become more asset management. So I'm looking at it from how do I steward somebody else's resources and their portfolio to meet what their goals are on a day-to-day basis and their time frame, because all of our clients are different ages, some closer to retirement, some just getting started.
Yeah.
So that's really how I see it.
Why do you think that matters from because I like what you said, when like almost being an advisor rather than this like transaction, like I'm not just here to help you buy and sell, but we're looking at the full picture. Like, why do you think that matters, overall, I think?
Well, Nothing is ever transactional from my perspective.
Yeah, I
You
love
know,
that.
I have the number of clients that I have had one transaction with, I can probably count on one hand. You know, it is, multiple transactions with that, business relationship. So it's never transactional, and you know, you may think it's only going to be one. Then all of a sudden they're coming back and they're like, "Hey, I'm ready to buy a rental property now. You sold my residential home back when I moved out of Athens. Now I'm, you know, ready to start a portfolio." So, it's they're looking for that advice on, is this good? Is this not good? And that's where I don't have a problem telling somebody I would not buy that. And sometimes that's hard to find.
Yeah. Why do you think they keep on coming back? That's pretty impressive. I mean, that's what do you think you do for them to say, man, we got to call Blake again?
Well, I put their needs first. It's never about one transaction. It's about what do I truly believe is best for them in their given situation. And I think when your clients they bring me deals a lot of times, like, what do you think about this? I'm like, yeah, I'd probably stay away from that. Okay, here's X, Y, and Z reason, and they appreciate that, because again, that's not always easy to find,
Yeah. I mean, you're looking more.
and especially for people that are in commission based roles.
Absolutely. And that's being authentic, being transparent, and being truthful. It doesn't look like it comes across that you're looking out. Again, it's like the holistic portfolio approach of what you're trying to do from, an asset management company now, rather than just like, hey, I'm just trying to, like, we're doing much more than this transaction. Can you think of a moment, like maybe it was early on in your career, that you were like, man, this is bigger than just a deal. Like this is like my work that I'm doing is actually changing lives and, changing people's financial future.
Yeah, I mean, that's always been my mindset. There's never just a one transaction type deal, and I think that's was really instilled by my parents growing up. Shout out to them.
Yeah. Shout out to the Underwoods.
Yeah, that at the end of the day, I know that when I leave here, the only thing I'm leaving behind is my reputation.
Mm.
So always try to keep that in mind, that you're trying to build multiple transactions with somebody, and that trust and that relationship, it's never one deal.
Right. I love that. How do you build that asset management mindset? How do you build that mindset into your team or your business? We were just talking about one of your employees, Josh. We've done a lot of business together. Awesome agent. I feel like he's definitely got that mindset of that customer approach, going to shoot you straight, like not just looking for the deal, but really making sure, almost like treating you like you're his own brother, right? How do you, from a leadership perspective, instill that stewardship? Like, hey, they're entrusting us with their financial resources. How do you, from a leadership perspective, what do you do to?
So one of the things that I tell, my team anytime they're in a decision-making situation is just step back and say, what would I do if this was my property, if this was my money?
Mm,
How would I handle it?
mm,
Now, everybody's in a different situation. The answer can be different if somebody is, based on their financial situation and whatnot. So a lot of times we still go back to the client and give them their options, give them a couple of options, right? And let them choose, because, again, their financial situation, they might want to go with a cheaper option on a repair versus a more expensive wholesale replacement option. But at the end of the day, really ask yourself the question every time: what would I do if this was mine?
mm.
And the other thing is don't be complacent. So complacency is just, I tell my team, is just awful. It doesn't matter whether you're talking about business or you're talking about your workout regimen. If you're just happy where you are, you're really backing up. You've got to be striving to get better each and every day.
I love that. What are some of the any projects that you're most excited about right now? Like, is there something you talk about complacency, and I feel like for me to defend my complacency, I feel like I always need something to look forward to, right? Because if I can be internally complacent or just okay with how things are, if I don't have a vision, for my life or just business goals, but when you talked about complacency and even in the stewardship, like, is there any projects that you're working on, you're like fired up about that are able to share publicly with us today?
So we're about to break ground on phase 2 of Puritan Mill.
Okay.
That's going to be another 227 beds in Athens, and
is that off of Macon Highway?
Off of Macon Highway.
Yeah. Okay.
So by the end of that'll be one of the largest together. The phase 1 and phase 2 together will be the largest deal that we've put together. So that'll be nice.
Yeah.
It's exciting. Glad we didn't have to do it all in one phase.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But that's fun. And also, building a house out in Watkinsville right now with a small subdivision that goes along with that. So that's exciting as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. So a lot of fun growth in Athens Real Estate Group. And you don't only, you're almost like a full service. Can you talk a little bit more about everything that you do, just to kind of wrap it up? Like, not only do you have agents helping people buy, sell, invest, but you also do a lot of property management.
That's right.
So,
yep.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about just the overall structural organization. Because I know we've been talking a lot about, I love the asset management piece, and really, like, you're in it for the long term, right? It's not just like a quick transaction, 30 days in and out. So
That's
yeah,
right.
Talk to more organizational about Athens Real Estate.
Yeah, so our clients can come to us. We do residential and commercial sales, property management, and development. So, our clients, whether it's just their residential home, they're, wanting to, upsize or downsize, we can take care of that, help them out with that. Investment properties, we do a lot of that. And once they close on it, we immediately start managing that property for them. So, we're sitting there telling them, hey, this is what your expenses are going to be. This is your income expectations. This is what your bottom line is. So, kind of unique that, we actually have to back up those numbers, because we have to perform on the property management side so they can see that come to fruition. It's not just, like you mentioned, find the property, let them buy it, close, move on. They take it from there.
Mm-hmm.
So most of our clients on the investment property side, we're handling that property management aspect, and that's really how it kind of goes full circle into really more asset management, because you are guiding them on the buy side, managing it along the way, and then guiding them on the exit side as well.
Mm-hmm. And you're stewarding them, you have to, right?
Absolutely.
Especially when you have a major repair and it hurts cash flow, and it's like, some of those decisions are not very emotional because it is an asset, but at the same time, you're stewarding them and you're teaching your employees that, hey, think about this as if this was your house and your money. Should we be spending this? Like, are we going to put a Band-Aid on it? But then we also have tenants in the house, right? So you've got to you got to steward them, and then steward your investors.
Yeah. On the property management side, it's a fine line. You got two sets of clients. You got the owner and you got the tenant.
Mm.
And we're in the middle there. And a lot of times those two don't see eye to eye, and we have to try to make both sides understand that, property, owner, we have to do this for these tenants because it's the only right thing to do.
Yeah, the HVAC is broken and it's July. And
We've got to hurry.
Yeah, it's 80 degrees in the house. We got to hurry and fix this, And that's a hard balance, I would say. Like, you're representing, you're representing both sides. Like, you want to impress your tenants and take care of them. But then also you have to look after your client, the landlord or the investor. And also you've got to do right by both. And you can sometimes be like stewarding both of them and being stretched both sides of like what's the best way, you know?
And I can assure you, both sides don't see eye to eye sometimes.
And you're the bridge, right? You're the
That's
bridge,
right.
Because those people aren't talking, right? I mean, if
absolutely not.
No, they're not talking.
They're
and
not talking.
You're the bridge of communication, so you're passing information back and forth. And so, yeah, that can get complicated, I bet. I bet you have some crazy stories of, crazy tenants and crazy landlords maybe. So
absolutely.
Yeah. We always ask this close to the end. This podcast is obviously called Make You Remarkable, but how are you making you remarkable? Like in Athens Real Estate Group, in Athens, how are you doing that?
Well, I think you got to think about sustainability, right? What you're doing, is it sustainable? And we're constantly trying to look at that to make sure we're not going down the wrong path. You're looking at interest rates. You look at that every day.
Mm-hmm.
Are these sustainable? Rental rate grows, things like that. But I think the other thing is just helping others. That's my remarkable for me. We're helping so many different people in so many different walks of life, just like we just talked about, from people securing their retirement future with investment properties, people making the largest, decisions of their lives and what house they're going to buy. So, for a lot of people, that's their biggest purchase in their lifetime, is buying their home or selling their home. And we're also on the tenant, right? Completely different perspective, giving them a quality place to live and a good lifestyle, wherever they choose, in a lot of different price points.
This kind of flows into what you were saying from a sustainability standpoint. One of the hottest topics in Athens right now is housing affordability, and it's a very tough subject. And there's, a new mayor race happening, and that's like a hot topic of discussion. And you see both sides of the pendulum of you've got investors who are trying to make a profit, and also trying to cover their, taxes and insurance and the higher interest rates. And then you also have tenants who are saying like, I can't afford this, Is there a solution in Athens to lowering prices, or like, where do you see, like, we're not trying to solve it obviously here, but like, is there any feedback or even like a question that you would have of like a solution possibly, or like something for us to think about?
Well, how long is this podcast?
And by the way, this was not on your question sheet, so I'm putting you on the spot. But it's a good one, right? It's a good question, only because everybody's talking about it. It is a problem, and not just in Athens, across the nation. I mean, it's and we do feel like there might have to be government intervention. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
I'd say most of what you're hearing from the local politics is really focused on how do we get low income housing, not necessarily affordable housing. When you really break that out, it's two totally different things. I think it's going to take some government intervention to get that, for, like you mentioned, to truly get a meaningful amount of low income housing. Now, getting affordable housing, I think you're starting to see that happen a little bit naturally.
Yes.
And, things are stabilizing.
Absolutely.
Not to the detriment of people that have already purchased homes per se, but just more of a, just a realistic market.
Yeah. What's one thing you hope people take away when they think about stewardship? What's one thing that you would say that they could walk away from this podcast?
You have to be selfless, right? You can't be just focused on yourself, and you have to be thinking about, again, is this sustainable? Because some things may be working, but that doesn't mean it's going to work very long, right? And so being selfless and keeping your reputation in at the forefront.
How do people connect with you? How do people find you?
Well, you can always call me.
Okay.
You can email me. I'm easy to find, but our website is athensreg.com. We're on Instagram, on Facebook, Athens Real Estate Group. It's the handle for both of those.
Awesome. I love it. Blake, thank you for your time today, man, and visiting us as a guest. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, Charlie. Always good to talk to you.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of Make Your Remarkable. If you enjoyed the conversation, leave us a review, share it with a friend, or follow us on social media at Oconee State Bank and at remarkable_mortgage for more remarkable insights. And remember, at the heart of every journey, it's not about the process. It's about the purpose you're building, one bold step at a time. Until next time, keep making your remarkable.